sitting here at BSR with the talented writer, DJ extraordinaire, DJ Reza Wreckage, a.k.a. Venus Sings, a.k.a. the woman in charge. We're sitting here live with the... What's going on? How you doing there, my lady?
What's going on,
Not
Ella?
much.
Glad to be here.
I just wanted to talk to you a little bit, let the people get to know you. Everybody can be informed about who you are and what it is that you do and how much you do for the community. So,
how about I do so much I'm doing it right now while we're interviewing?
That's right, that's right. See, she's a constant workaholic. She's always getting it in. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Where are you from?
I'm from Providence.
You're from Providence originally?
Grew up there until like 3rd grade, 4th grade, moved to Cranston.
Oh, okay.
So, Providence, Cranston girl.
No doubt, definitely. And how long have you been DJing? And how long have you been actually involved in the DJing process? Because I know that you have a show at BSR as well as with Sonic Watermelons here.
Yeah.
As well as your show at WRIU.
Well, let's see. My show here at BSR, I've been doing only since September.
Okay.
So, a few months, 5 months, something like that.
Right.
So it's still kind of new, still developing it. I started DJing at WRIU. I want to say that was back in like 2007, maybe.
Right. And what time can we catch you on the air?
Well, BSR is great because I'm on every week.
Okay.
So, love that. Every Monday, 4 to 6 p.m. BSR, just a little history for you, stands for Brown Student and Community Radio. And so, obviously, connected to Brown University, it is definitely designed to serve the Brown University student as well as the community. We stream online for all day until 9 p.m. And at 9 p.m. we jump on the WELH dial, and we're online and on the radio from 9 p.m. until late night.
Okay, now for those that don't know the FM dial numbers that it is, can you tell them what it is?
Sure, it's 88.1 FM, and the website is bsrlive.com. We like to talk about... We're fitting in a bunch in 2 hours. I have a co-host who joins me just about weekly. We call her J9. She's involved in other projects that I'm sure we'll talk about. But my co-host and I, we're here every week, and we throw in news and music, and sort of our theme is the world is a big place with big ideas and lots of music. So our goal is to take those sort of 3 corners, those 3 concepts, and squish them into 2 hours every week. So, and then on WRIU, I'm part of the Voices of Women team.
Right, exactly.
So Voices of Women, yes, every Saturday, 9 to 11 a.m. And I do what I call Venus Sings Radio on the 4th Saturday of every month. So, but I'm definitely part of the Voices of Women team. Really want to big up Gail, Beth, and Liza, who are my other co-hosts and the other producers of Voices of Women. And it's just a really eclectic show no matter what Saturday you're tuning into.
What gave you that idea to pursue a career in radio?
Sure. Well, I've really always loved music, and I've always loved radio. And, in fact, I won a contest, like, as a 5th grader, as a 6th grader, some sort of, area, kid-related contest and stuff. And I actually, like, as a young kid, interviewed my own uncle on air for radio one time. So I've always loved radio and always loved music. I mean, like, loved it, exposed to it, got my fingers in it since I was a young kid. So, for instance, in 5th grade, I learned trumpet, really wasn't feeling it. 6th grade, I learned drums and played drums and percussion up until midway through high school. And even before playing instruments, I was in, like, all the school choruses and stuff like that. So, I've always been into music. I think my taste in music has always been really well respected by my friends and my peer group, like different house parties and stuff like that, It's like I was one of the people who was always putting together a mixtape for it. And when you surround yourself by other people who love music, your tastes you like come together, they separate and things. So, you know, there's one really good friend of mine, Vera, who, she's a biologist and a painter.
Right.
Okay? Her taste in music is phenomenal. Like everything from the Beatles to Jay-Z and
Right.
in between. And, you know, she is a really influential person. You know, just from, she calls up Voices of Women every
Right.
time I'm on, so she makes a request every time
Cool,
I'm on.
cool.
She'll still put together like birthday or holiday mixes
Right.
for me.
That's cool.
And she even put together this one mix where the first song she put on the CD, and this is a friend of mine from
Right.
high school, like she remembered before I did. She put this song on that, it was Jeff Buckley, actually, which is sort of more like alternative
Right.
music, kind of, you know, predecessor to like the Jack Johnson sound
Right.
and stuff like that. And it was like, it was just life-changing, that song. It was just so beautiful and like so many emotions in it, stuff. And so she put that on a mix for me that she gave to me a couple of years ago. So, so music has always been an important part of my life. As an undergraduate student, I studied African and African American studies, and my professor and department chair at one point said, you know, every once in a while, some of my students
Right.
come in and they'll do a radio show.
Right.
We call it Third World News. Do you have any interest?
Right, exactly.
And I did. And I jumped on it immediately.
That's cool.
And it was one of those experiences that changed my life. Have a lot of those, I guess. But, you know, it was one of the first times as a young adult, you know, where all of a sudden my interest in music, my interest in African and African American culture, my interest in health, my interest in everything, it could all come together in this space we call radio. And I should also make sure that I really, you know, share love with my boyfriend, my partner and roommate, Corey, who also goes by DJ Blademon.
Okay.
So he's sort of like the family's original DJ, so to speak, my teacher. But he does a show on WRIU called
Okay.
Blade Connects Radio.
Okay.
Comes on Saturdays right after Voices of Women.
Okay.
So the whole reason I even knew about the Voices of Women opening
Right.
was hanging out with him in the studio.
Oh, okay.
So, yes,
Okay.
must give love. Must
Definitely.
give love.
Gotta give love. In Fifth Element, you guys have Ice the Storm. And I think
Yes.
Ice the Storm is actually a wonderful outlet for unknown or independent musicians as well as poets. Because you guys do a lot of spoken word. You also do some musical stuff as well.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about that and about the grind that you had to go through from the beginning, laying the foundation, getting things going. Because I'm sure that there had to be some roadblocks that came along. And what I'm getting at is for our viewers to be able to understand what it is that you had to go through, and if they are, you know, in any way, shape, or form thinking of going down a similar path, some of the triumphs and tragedies to actually look for.
Well, it started, I guess, like as my brainchild.
Right.
Again, I have a background in journalism and in a lot of do-it-yourself journalism.
Right.
And so one of the things for myself, doing freelancing for so long, you know, I don't have a newsroom,
Right,
for
exactly.
instance, and like a team of people to bounce ideas with, and to support my ideas, and whom I can support. Like I love teaching people stuff and
Right.
like teaching people new skills
Okay.
and stuff. And so, you know, I didn't really have this vehicle
Right.
in terms of the journalism. And then at the same time, not only did I not have it, but the challenges I was facing in terms of trying to go from freelance to
Right.
being, you know, your regular reporter or your regular, you know, journalist, gosh, well, the data says that, like, women of color and people of color in newsrooms, like, is a rare thing.
True.
We leave.
Right.
We don't get promoted. And so there's kind of these barriers that exist that I wasn't alone in.
Right.
And so we've got that going on. And then I had a history as a music journalist and as a sort of a cultural journalist of working with artists, and
Right.
particularly spoken word poets, hip-hop artists, singers, songwriters,
Mm-hmm.
and I, would find different ways to work with them,
Right.
be it interviewing them, creating, I created a project called Road to Africa,
Right.
which was an interview series and a concert series and things. So I created these little vehicles where, like, every once in a while I could
Right.
do something.
Right.
And so it was just like all these forces at play where I knew more artists than I was able to expose and work
Right.
with. A lot of those artists, a lot of those singers, a lot of those poets were women. And then, like I said, women, not just me, but in a global sense,
Right.
are having trouble in a newsroom.
Right.
So all these things were coming together for me. And it just seemed like there was time to do something about it, basically.
Right.
And one thing that Fifth Element and I talk about is, like, we're feminists. We use the F word. We're fine with
Right.
it, But certainly some of the things that frustrates us in terms of, feminists, but really scholars in general, is like the tendency to sort of think and talk,
Right.
and then the action gets
Exactly.
missing. And so, we just wanted to do something. So for me, it was a vision that I brought to Fifth Element that she just took and helped me grow and develop even further. But initially it was just like, I need a website, I need a group, and we
Right.
need to, like, move each other forward.
Exactly.
So, and then it was like, well, duh, all my friends are artists, and I do work with them a lot, and Cal is a hip-hop
Right.
MC and a poet. So, I mean, that was it was very, very organic.
Right.
And in fact, I sat on the idea probably for at least a year, if not more, before even presenting it to Cal.
Right.
Cal is her given name, Cal. And then Cal and I then sat on it for like a year
You're
before
holding
we
back
could
on us,
do,
everybody. Holding back on us.
and it wasn't an actionless year. I mean,
Right.
we applied for some grants and tried to work with a couple of organizations,
Right.
and we really tried to do and launch Isis Storm in a very traditional kind of like nonprofit model,
Right.
and it wasn't working.
Right, exactly.
And so, we just had this conversation, and it was like, we're ready to launch. I'm ready to launch this.
Right.
Well, let's just put together some shows.
Right.
Like, we know, that we want to start working with a collective of poets and artists and
Right.
performers, and they need shows.
Right.
So let's just start putting together shows. Let's take the shows that you've been invited to be part of, that I've been invited
Right.
to be part of. Let's put the Isis Storm stamp on it, and
Right.
let's go. So we did kind of sit on it, but the world works in mysterious
Exactly.
ways, and the
Exactly.
universe, like, when it's ready to open its doors, it's going
It
to open
does.
it. Develop an idea. I mean, that's one
Right.
of the things. When I went to Cal, like, I had, I knew sort of journalism and media and topic-wise. I went to her, I said, I want to cover health, I want to talk about art, I want to talk about education.
Right.
So it was a very developed idea. So I
Right.
definitely recommend, develop it, move it further.
Right.
One of the things I do professionally is I do like media and communications workshops. And part of why I do that is just to give people that hour, that 2 hours to go ahead and like go crazy with your thoughts. Just
Right,
let
exactly.
yourself like go and fall into this idea
Right.
without anything else.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you don't have to take 2 years to develop it, but,
Right.
give yourself that time, because I'll tell you, I can answer just about every question, and I can tell you, like, why to work with Isis Storm, pretty
Right.
much because I developed that question, because I took the time to say, well, if we did this, what would it look like? If we did that, what would it look like?
Right.
Well, I am interested in that, so how do you pull that in?
Right.
So I can tell you why you need to have Isis Storm at a
Right.
holiday party
Exactly.
or at the White House, because we developed that idea.
Exactly. Wow.
You can have us at the White House. Go ahead, sorry.
Definitely. You catch you at the White House. Coming soon to a
Coming
White House
soon.
near you.